The Sharks throw another first-round pick on top of the pile as they sign Oliver Wahlstrom to a PTO.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team, the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do, just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be examining Oliver Wahlstrom, who the Sharks signed to a PTO. We're going to get to know Wahlstrom a little bit more as a former first-round pick, kind of why things didn't pan out for him. Then we're going to discuss why the Sharks did this, look at kind of the Barracuda roster and why this could be Mike Grier setting himself up for another move, plus some other guys who I think the Sharks should be interested in bringing in as PTOs. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So the Sharks, they signed Oliver Wahlstrom to a professional tryout. With an AHL deal already. So we'll get to more of that here in a little bit, but Wahlstrom will be in San Jose this year, no matter what. That is the plan right now. So Wahlstrom is a former first-round pick. He's from the Northeast, was born in Maine, from Portland, went to school. He's from the Northeast, so ring the bell, et cetera, et cetera. Mike Grier, Boston area, Northeast area guys. Anyway, born June 2000, 6'2", 205-pound right-handed shot, former first-round pick, 11th overall in 2018 by the New York Islanders. Going back to from elite prospect, going back to his draft, kind of like his draft guide, etc. Wahlstrom was a sensational scoring threat, a fierce competitor. Preys on the weak play, exploits gaps in the neutral zone. His positioning allows him to carry the puck forward immediately or shift up and into stride off of an outlet pass. He promptly takes easy lanes away from the opposition along his own blue line, but can stand out to be more proactive defensively. Offensively, he might be described as uncontainable. The confidence he has with his individual puck play paired with high level of thinking makes him a difficult cog to take out of the alignment. He's able to create opportunities for himself as well as his teammates out of nothing. This in turn translates to energy on the ice and in the building as a whole. All in all, Oliver Wahlstrom is an instinct-driven hockey player, gifted with the size, skating, skill, and smarts that a coach yearns for. Hasn't really worked out that way. So, like I said, Wahlstrom went through the St. Mary's program and then joined the U.S. national team. He played with the U.S. national team until he was drafted, where he spent a season at Boston College in the 2018-19 season. He played 36 games with BC, 8 goals, 11 assists, 19 total points during that time. Then he signed his ELC. Went and played in the AHL with the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. 2019 season, made the NHL, played 9 games there, then spent the rest of this season in the AHL, as long as playing in the World Juniors as well. During COVID, he started the season over in Hockeyallsvenskan, where he had 8 points in 10 games there, then finished the rest of the year with the Islanders. And he's been with the Islanders until this past season. In December, the Islanders placed him on waivers, where the Boston Bruins claimed him. So he's played 27 games with the Islanders this year, had 2 goals and 2 assists. Then played 16 games with the Boston Bruins, where he had 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points, and 28 penalty minutes. He's placed on waivers to go play and was cleared waivers, where he went to the AHL to play with the Providence Bruins. we'll get to that here a little bit in just a second. But so that's kind of been his road through professional hockey so far. With the Providence Bruins, I think that's where we're really going to focus on right now, kind of what to expect with him. So he played very well with the Providence Bruins, and the production is exactly what you want to see from a guy like him. Wahlstrom, in 19 games in the regular season, had 9 goals, 6 assists with 50 shots on goal during that time. In the playoffs, he had played 7 games for the Bruins, Providence, that is, 3 goals, 1 assist with 4 total points during that time. So a guy who's very productive in the AHL, but just never really kind of able to, live up to that first round status in the NHL. His career high is 24 points in 73 games in 21-22 season. We had 13 goals and 11 assists during that time. So that was kind of his peak, and really kind of has not been the guy that the Islanders drafted. This past season in the NHL, he played 4th line minutes with the Islanders and with the Bruins. He was an 8th percentile player, 4th percentile offensively, 57th percentile defensively. Did a good job with the goals above replacement, kind of limiting those. Got a little bit of power play time, but nothing like too exciting there during his time. Looking at his advanced hockey stat card over the past 3 seasons, he's a 12% WAR player, but this is really propped up by a 22-23 season where he was floating around 50%. The last 2 seasons, he's been hovering over 0%, with the defense kind of really falling off a cliff. And that was the 22-23 season. Like, his defense was outstanding, and he was finishing a little bit more. And now the defense and the finishing have basically kind of gone away compared to what they were a couple of years ago. And the offense never really kind of figured things out offensively, unfortunately. Looking at his Dauber hockey, kind of usage chart, like, he was given they gave him the struggling bottom 6 forward connotation, where he was given easy matchups and kind of middle of the pack usage, wasn't like a lot of between offensive and defensively, wasn't like anything super crazy, and just struggled to do anything when it especially came to driving offense, and just kind of really struggled in that department. So Wahlstrom is a player who just, looking at his track record here, you wonder if maybe you always wonder with these COVID guys, right? If he didn't go there and maybe he spent some more time in the AHL or whatever, you wonder if maybe he got rushed a little bit and just never really kind of got to dominate in one area before moving on, right? Like, even his season at Boston, he spent 1 season at Boston College. And again, that's not 19 points in 36 games. You wonder if he could do it all over again if he spends another season at Boston College and then spends some time in the AHL and then goes pro. And then that way you can kind of continue to grow and develop. And maybe they'll try to be a little bit slower with his development there. So, but yeah, it kind of feels like he never was able to kind of stick around and dominate in an area before moving on to kind of the next step, unfortunately, for Wahlstrom. But I think the bigger thing is, why did the Sharks make this move? Why add another body into a very crowded forward group when you look at both the Sharks and the Barracuda forwards? So we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss the contract and why that's significant. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Have you ever looked at your finances and go, I don't know where all my money is? That's where Monarch Money comes in. If you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. Monarch Money is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is there for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts and minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It's like your own personal Puckpedia page. So the great thing about it too is if maybe you and your partner have separate accounts, but you're working towards a shared goal, whether it's buying a house, buying a car, or just planning your next adventure, they make it super easy to be collaborative, but also keep your money separate as well. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDON. NHL. All right, before we continue, of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast. There's no off season, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So why bring in Wahlstrom to a PTO deal? So first, the deal itself, it is a professional tryout, but he also has a deal, an AHL only deal. So what that means for the Sharks and their contracts, right? Because everyone's always worried about, well, the Sharks only have so many contracts, et cetera, right? Since it's an AHL only deal, doesn't count towards your 50. You think about Barracuda players like Braden Hachey, Anthony Vincent, Lucas Van Roboys. Those guys can only play in the AHL or the ECHL. If the Sharks wanted to bring them into the NHL, they would have to give them an NHL contract. So Wahlstrom, basically the Sharks are giving him an opportunity to come into camp, show your what you can do. If you make the team, we'll happily give you an NHL deal, right? No problem. If not, you're going to be on an AHL deal and you'll play with the Barracuda. Think about Justin Bailey a couple years ago. Think about Derek Pouliot, a couple years ago. Both these guys came in on AHL only deal. Well, Justin Bailey was a tryout guy. Very similar situation. Justin Bailey was a tryout guy. He had an outstanding camp in preseason, signed an AHL only deal. He dominated down with the Barracuda, signed an NHL deal, and then was playing with the Sharks for a good chunk of the season before, kind of the next year he kind of went back to the Barracuda and then eventually got traded. But that's kind of what this deal is potentially setting up as, a kind of a break glass in case of emergency type of thing with Wahlstrom, where you have him in, he's in house, right? So he's going to be here all training camp. He's going to be working with the guys, the coaching staff's going to get to know him. So he's going to be here. So if the Sharks, who, again, we know if Michael Misa and Sam Dickinson play more than 9 games in the NHL, the Sharks are going to need to move a contract, right? This gives you protection, assuming, again, it's like I've always said, it's probably going to be an AHL guy who is on an NHL contract. That's always kind of been my theory, right? Maybe the Sharks do something more, right? I think of the NHL guys, Carl Grundstrom is the one NHL guy where I think you could, trade him for a 6th or 7th round pick type of thing, send him to a team that wants to add a little bit more, another guy just in that mix, right? But, looking at guys who are on NHL deals but are expected to play in the AHL that aren't really prospects, right? Because Chernyshov and Bstead and Quentin, you're not trading those guys. It'd be crazy to trade those guys, right? But you look at your Shane Bowers, who the Sharks got in the Thomas Bordeleau trade, maybe a guy like Igor Afasneyev, who the Sharks feel maybe you're not going to make our team, but we want to give you a chance elsewhere type of thing, something like that. Or Artem Gurev, right? Who's probably like an East, like maybe he's like an AHL type of guy, but it probably just doesn't seem like he's going to stick around long term, right? Probably isn't like he's in the last year of his ELC. Like I would be surprised if he got another contract, just because he has not even really been able to be much of a factor in the AHL. Like all these type of guys where you could easily send them to other teams who have more contract spaces, but and it's not gonna, like, you can future considerations. It's not going to cost you anything. Like it's more important for you instead of getting something back to open up flexibility with your roster. So if a guy like Wahlstrom comes in, plays really well, you start to move some pieces as the season goes on, as you expect. Guys like, like Jeff Skinner or John Klingberg, or, if Khrushchev plays well, or whomever, right? Alex Wenberg. Some of these guys start to kind of, get traded off, and you need some more depth. You could always just sign Wahlstrom at any time, right? You can sign him to a vetman type of deal, NHL deal. He'll have to clear waivers to go back and play in the AHL, but we've already seen him clear waivers last year, right? And I wouldn't worry about him potentially clearing waivers. So I think what Wahlstrom does is it gives you some depth, right? But I think it signifies that the Sharks are they're going to have to move somebody at some point here, and especially if Misa and or Dickinson, are awesome and look like they belong in the NHL. Like you're going to have to move somebody. So it gives you a little bit of depth in your back pocket without having to fully commit with an NHL deal right now. So that's why I think the Sharks did this, because I'm targeting one of those guys, even, like a guy like Pavel Regenda, who I thought played really well last year, but like all those veteran AHL guys, those are the guys who I think the Sharks / Barracuda will be looking to move on to another team who is looking for some more AHL depth themselves, right? So those would be the kind of the guys I'm targeting. And I think for Wahlstrom, and if Wahlstrom just, if he can't compete at the same level, then it doesn't really, like, it's an AHL deal, and you can. There's plenty of guys. Like, that's the great thing. There's so much competition on the Barracuda team. One, I think it helps your younger players, right? Where you're not just kind of giving them a job. And we know that's how the Sharks want to do it, is not just give jobs to people. Again, those guys are going to get kind of the benefit of the doubt, and they're probably going to get the first cracks, but it's nice to kind of like keep those guys on your toes, because like if you're not doing what you need to do, we have plenty of guys here who can come in and fill your position, right? So I think that it kind of keeps some of your younger guys honest. And, a guy who has NHL experience and was a former first-round pick, and maybe just having another guy like that around for some of these guys to learn from, and just have another kind of ear there to kind of talk to about his experience and maybe what went wrong for Wahlstrom, right? And I think that's I think having, like, again, it's not costing you anything to do to bring him into the building. So, but yeah, I think this signifies that the Sharks are going to be moving somebody here at some point during training camp to open things up, and just having a AHL only deal guy who's, again, was very talented at one point, who can play probably middle 6 minutes for you in the Barracuda. Not the worst thing to have lying around. So we're going to explore some other PTO options, some guys who I think the Sharks should try to bring into, again, have in their back pocket in case they need to break glass in case of emergency, and help to kind of solidify this Barracuda team. So we'll talk about some of these guys here in just 1 second. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 of bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel is great because it covers any way you like to play. If you can do player props, Josh Allen against the Dolphins, just take overs on everything, because Josh Allen destroys the Dolphins every time he plays them. if you're building a same game parlay, or if you just want to jump into live action as the game unfolds. They make it easy, quick, and the best way to add a little bit of more energy to your Sundays. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. I'm also super excited to tell you about my new favorite pair of jeanswear, Doer. I've been living in their performance denim straight jeans, and honestly, they completely changed the game for me. I love Doer jeans because, one, they look great. Like, that's the most important thing. They have to look great, but they also feel amazing. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They feel stretchy without looking stretchy, which I think is very important. They have Cool Max that helps regulate your body temperature and wicks moisture. Like, I live in Fresno and it's like hot here all the time. I have to wear jeans for work, and they feel great when I do that. So Doer combines classic jeanswear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear, the best of both worlds. There's the reason why they called them the world's most comfortable pants. You don't take my word for it. Go try a pair for yourself. Doer just opened a store in Hayes Valley, so you can feel the difference firsthand. Go check them out at 567 Hayes Street. Mention our promo code LOCKEDONSF in store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out online at shopdoer.com, DUER.com/LockedOnSF for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. All right. So, what are some options here for the Sharks to potential PTOs? And 2 areas that I wanted to kind of bolster up with the Barracuda and give the Sharks just a little bit of peace of mind in case the worst case happens. And I think this next guy is very much in case something bad happens for the Sharks. I would be very interested in bringing in Ilya Samsonov, the goalie. So Samsonov played with the Vegas Golden Knights last year and hit 29 games, a 282 save goals against with an 891 save percentage, 82 goals allowed on expected goals of 82.61. So he had 0.61 goals saved above expected with a high danger save percentage in all situations at 798. The reason why I would be very interested in bringing him in on a PTO, and then hopefully you can get him on an AHL deal, is one. The Barracuda have a very, I know you brought in Jacob Skarek, right? And you're going to have Matt Davis in the mix. And I know they want to develop some of their young goalies, right? I 100% get that. I'm also Gabe Carrier, the other guy. Almost forgot about him. So I get you have those guys. You want you want some of these guys opportunity, but you look at the NHL roster, right? You have Askarov, who's expected to be the guy. He's played 16 NHL games. And you do have Alexander Nedeljkovic, who is a veteran who's bounced around and played his fair share of games, but if one of those guys goes down or gets hurt, the Sharks just don't have a lot of NHL experience outside of Alexander Nedeljkovic in the blue line, or in the pipeline here in the goalie pipeline. So I would be very interested in bringing Samsonov in, sign him to an AHL deal, let him kind of, play a bunch, and then if the Sharks need a goalie, you can just sign him to an NHL deal and have him come up and help out if Askarov or if Nedeljkovic, one of these guys get hurt for an extended period of time. Having a guy who's played NHL games and has played well in NHL games isn't the worst thing to have, again, in your back pocket. And plus, I think for the Barracuda trying to replace Askarov, you're never going to replace Askarov, but I think having a guy who's an NHL caliber goalie playing in the AHL on an AHL only deal kind of feels like a cheat code. Again, I don't think you can replace Askarov, but I think it raises the floor of the Barracuda team by bringing in a guy like Samsonov, so he can come in here and compete. Again, be the third goalie in the system. And if you need him to play NHL games, you just sign him to an NHL contract. Like it's then you figure out. So you just kind of figure it out, right? I would rather figure it out with Samsonov and have him as your third goalie than try to, if Jacob Skarek, who's played 2 NHL games in his career, right? If something goes wrong and you have to bring that worries me a little bit, that just the depth in the Sharks goaltending here. Like there's not the Aaron Dell guy, right? Where like if Aaron Dell's playing, a couple AHL games here and there, but if somebody gets hurt, Aaron Dell's the guy who gets called up into to go play in the NHL. Like they need that guy, and I'm a little worried about that heading into the season. So another player who I'd be interested in bringing in is, I'm actually like both these guys, I'm shocked haven't signed anywhere, to be honest. But this one's more on the blue line. Because, I mean, looking at the Barracuda blue line, right, we know it's going to be kind of Luca Cagnoni, and, assuming a guy like Jack Thompson makes it through waivers. But it's a lot of young players, right? Noah Beck, who's going to be going through his first full season. Matthias Havlet, who's going to be going through his first season in the AHL. Furlong's been through, one season. You have Cole Clayton and Lucas Carlson, who are both veterans. I would be interested in just bringing in another veteran, where in case, again, if you start moving pieces or guys get hurt and you need bringing a guy in on an AHL deal, and if you need to sign him to an NHL deal, you can figure it out. But I would be interested in bringing in Christian Wolanin. So Wolanin was a former 4th round pick, back in I'm pulling it up right now. So he was a 4th round pick back in the 2015 draft. He's 6'2", 190 pounds, left-handed. I know. Came up through Muskegon, University of North Dakota, drafted by the Sens. He played with the Sens and kind of bounced around between the AHL and the NHL. Was in with the Kings organization for a little bit, but he's spent the last couple of seasons with the Vancouver Canucks organization, where, mostly in the AHL the last couple seasons. This year he was played very well, put up the point, like great production, 58 games. He had 4 goals, 36 assists for 40 points in the regular season. In the playoffs, as Abbotsford won the whole thing, 17 games, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points. This is a guy who's also put up 55 points in 49 games just a couple seasons ago. He was also named the Eddie Shore Award for Best AHL Defenseman in 2023. He's won at every level in the he's won the NCAA, he's won in the AHL. This is a solid veteran defenseman for some of these younger guys to kind of lean on, and gives you some, right, if Cagnoni gets called up and sticks around, right, or if Jack Thompson gets called, it just gives you a little bit more depth, and you're not kind of having to just hope that Matthias Havlet can stick, right, and hope that some of these other guys can kind of stick. So, and again, if somebody gets hurt, like this is a guy who does have NHL experience. He has plenty of AHL experience. Is he going to blow your socks off in the NHL? No. He's played 86 games over 6 years, but in the AHL though, as a defenseman, he has 177 points in 238 games. Like this is a guy who will drive offense for you along the blue line. And I think would be a very smart signing for I think both these would be very smart signings for the Barracuda if you want to continue to try to win games, right? And not just rely on some of your younger players for internal growth. I think both these guys would help the Barracuda win more games, and 2, gives the Sharks a little bit of insurance. So anyway, that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow, as we'll hopefully get the Sharks training camp roster, as well as whatever I believe, whatever comes out for media day, if all that fun stuff. So we're here, guys. We are here. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.